Hey, everybody, I'm Captain Tommy Skibble, and you are on the lifeboat. Hope you're having a great morning. This is a topic that a bunch of people have written to me about. And it's funny, again, I've probably covered everything at one time or another. But since this is seasonal and it's something that comes up all of every single year, let's do it again. Let's talk about this. I get emails from people all the time that say, I have no addiction. I've never had an addiction in my life. And then we get to talking. And they'll tell me that they are, however, feeling like they're maybe 30 or 40 pounds overweight, or 50 and 60 pounds. And sometimes it's more than that. And here's the deal with the weight thing. I want everybody to be healthy. I don't care what you look like, right? But I want weight to not be something that is going to have you leave the planet sooner than you should, right? That one would bum me out. I wouldn't want to see that go down. I don't think anybody wants to see that go down. Yeah. Okay. So that's really where I draw the line on this thing. I'm not trying to tell people they need to be anything, right? What they need to be is healthy. So a lot of us struggle with this, and there's a reason. Laura FM, good to see you. Look at this. This is in your honor, by the way. I am sporting this because of you. I was so moved by your video with AA on it. I have this on in your honor. Great stuff. Really, really heavy stuff. This season, a great many of us who over the course of our lives have been addicted to one thing or another will use food to comfort ourselves. Is there anything wrong with that? I don't know. Fancy Nancy, good to see you. How are things in Jersey? Here's the deal on that. It might hurt you, right? It might. It may become an addiction that gets to the point that, why, thank you. It can get to the point where this is going to make sure that you're not around as long as you should be. Now, we can't have that. We can't. So people write to me and they say, it is the hardest this time of year. I mean, everybody's making things, right? Russian rum balls and Chex Party Mix and all of the things that this year get made. Sorry, this time of year get made that make it really, really difficult. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Nancy. Whole East Coast. Thoughts and prayers to all of the people, speaking of which, in the Carolinas and that whole eastern seaboard that is currently getting decked. And thoughts and prayers for them. Oh, it's funny you should say A-Track. I did go out today to take a look at the local Scientology org. I get the feeling not a lot gets done there. This place looked locked up like they haven't done business in a very, very long time. But let's get back to the subject real quick. So a lot of us switch one addiction for another, right? This is not something that's a shocker to anybody. We used drugs to make ourselves feel better. It is so easy to do the same thing with food. And food is considered by many to be the second largest addiction on the planet behind social media addiction, which passed it this year for the first time. So food has always been the largest addiction on earth. And we are the only country on the planet, right? For the first time in history, going back to the dawn of man, where more people are going to die because they ate too much than are going to die because they didn't eat enough. So we kind of have to put it was an honor, Laura. I'm hoping to have you on here with me this week so that we can talk about it. I would really love to have you on. So it's so easy to swap right into that. And to make matters worse, people, you go, it doesn't make sense to me that you can use food as a drug. I don't understand how you can use food to make yourself feel better. Yeah, I don't know. See, that was my power too. My power came from the realization that I can't win a war with my drug of choice. My drug of choice is going to slap the crap out of me and leave me on the ground every single time. So I win that war by not getting into that fight, right? I win that war by never starting the first one. I can say no to the first one and has zero control over me on the first one. I have absolutely no ability to say no to the second one. So, and I think that's that way for a lot of people. But in food, we're getting a little different. One of the things about food is we all have to eat, right? That's an issue. We all have to eat. Good for you, N. Smith. Excellent. I like to hear this. I battle my food addiction, my food addicting every day, and it had no idea how much was appropriate to eat. I'm 50 pounds down and I'm in control. Good for you. God bless you. I think that's awesome. As we get into this holiday season, everywhere we go, someone's going to have just baked something for you. And when you bake stuff to bring yourself, you're going to taste it, right? And when you bring it over, they go, oh, you're going to love, these are great. You got to try what I made. And it's just that season. All of us tend to put on a little bit of weight during the holiday season because holy hell, everywhere you go, somebody bakes something, right? Gifts. You get gifts that are food, right? This is just a time of year where there's a very large concentration on eating, right? And that's not necessarily the end of the world. But how do you start the process of trying to have this be the year that you get under control as you're coming into the worst time of the year? Oh, wow, Christy, I know this. This is a fact. Being on methadone makes me crave sugar like crazy. I have to remind myself that so I don't let it get out of hand. I can buy 4 bags of lemon heads and eat every single one of them on the way home from the dollar store. I have that capacity. My thing is sugar. It is not anything else. But you have to understand that the people that make virtually everything that we eat are in laboratories trying to design a way to make it more addicting. And if you think I'm being silly, I'm not. They add high fructose corn syrup to things that have absolutely no need to be sweetened in any way, shape, or form, just like dope dealers add Fent to things that have no reason whatsoever to have you go this direction. Well, simply put, it's addicting. It's addicting. And it is a roller coaster addicting. Carousel's right. It's sugar all day long, and it's straight up and it's straight down, and it's straight up and it's straight down. The chips that you eat will have high fructose corn syrup in it. I don't care what you're eating in this country. It will have high fructose corn syrup in it. If you don't think that there's a difference between the two, get a hold of a Coca-Cola made in Mexico. You won't desire to drink another one, 30 minutes after you drink the first one. It is really an odd thing. But knowing that they're literally out to get you, knowing that they are trying to make products that are going to make you eat, even if you don't want to, right? One of my exes worked in this industry. One of my exes did this. Started out life as a genetic engineer and ended up working for companies like this to try to figure out how to make a way so that you need to eat more of the food that they make. Not want to, need to. How do you get, comfort food? Oh, it's real. It's real. They're making your food to release dopamine. They're making your food to give you a buzz of sorts. Now, it's not like doing a line. It's not like, slamming drinks, but it does the same thing. It makes you feel comfortable for a period of time in your own skin, right? Yeah. Everybody gets this? Okay. So we talk a lot about harm reduction here on the Lifeboat. If we're going into this season, okay, maybe just don't eat as much. For real. I don't think we're going to, if you're getting ready, if 2024 is the year of you, if 2024 is the year you say, you know what, I'm going to change this year. Well, then maybe don't ride out 2023 at full throttle. As a drug addict, I used to do this all of the time. I would say, I'm going to quit. This is the year that I'm going to quit. I did this about every December. I would say, this is the year I'm putting it down. I'm not going to do the crap anymore. I'm going to get sick on New Year's Day. I'm going to start my sickness. And this is the year I get clean. I did it for about 30 years, every single New Year's, right? Actually, there was a period of time where I used to say my resolution was to do more dope. But about the time I decided to quit, I would make this. But the last 7 or 8 days, I was doing 3 times as much dope as I normally did. Right? I was just doing it around the clock because this was the last hurrah, man. Right? I'm not, this is it. I'm done. So yeah, I wasn't tapping the brakes at all. And I think that very often in the holiday season, hold on one second, people. Anytime I get a text and it's somebody in the 5, I basically just got to make sure they're cool. Just hold on one second. Sorry. So how about a little harm reduction? How about if this holiday season, we just eat a little bit less? I'm not asking anybody on the Lifeboat ever to make radical changes in their life unless you want to make a radical change in your life. If you are completely content where you are, fantastic. Don't talk yourself into the fact that you're completely content unless you are. If you have reached a place in life where your weight is restricting you from doing things that you love to do, well, then this January is going to be different for you. This is the year that you say, I'm not doing this anymore. And I want to tell you something. That the sad thing is it's an addiction. The freaking great thing is it's an addiction, right? We understand addiction. Might be hard for you to wrap your dome around, but it's an addiction, right? It's absolutely no different. Food is an addiction, right? And it's a big one. So knowing this, we need to treat this just like we do every other addiction, right? At 440 pounds, my weight restricted me from everything. You know what? You're not the first person, right, to come to this conclusion. A bunch of people have come to this conclusion. I got to a point where I was not living the life that I wanted to live because at 285 pounds, right, yoga was off the table. I was not capable of doing yoga, which is a big thing in my life. And I got winded doing anything. And then I just said, that's it, I'm done. And I decided I was going to drop weight. And I got down to about 205. And then I fluctuated back and forth. And if you've been on the boat for a period of time, you saw me film from a hospital with a bunch of leads hooked up to my chest. And I had an episode that scared the ever-loving you-know-what out of me. You know, I wasn't really good to myself during my time. So while I was using, I beat the crap out of my body. And now I'm paying for it, right? That's just kind of how it goes. It's part of the game. But I said that day, guess what? I'm not doing this anymore. The doctor said to me, yeah, you knock 15 pounds off, you're probably going to live longer. I said, we're talking a couple of days. He said, we'd be kind of talking about 4 or 5 years. I said, so if I were to lose 30, right, I could stretch my life out maybe 7 or 8 more years. He said, I think that's possible. You know what, people? I pissed away 13 years. I want every single one I can get. I want it for as long as I can get it, as the ability to keep doing what I'm doing, right? As long as my brain's firing, I want to be able to. So I lost 30 pounds and I did it in about 45 days. And people go, oh, it's impossible to lose weight. Oh, no, it's not. If a doctor says to you, you're going to die if you don't do this, watch how fast you'll lose it, right? The same thing with sobriety. If you go see your doctor and he says there's a tumor in your brain and we're sending you over to an oncologist today, there's never been a person in the world that went, today sucks. How about 4 or 5 months from now, because I got a bunch of things going on in my life and I'm kind of stressed. And how about if we decide to treat this tumor in 6 months? You would never do that to that disease, right? Cancer is not a disease you would do that to. Think of the concept. It would scare the hell out of you, right? Nobody would do that in their right mind. Trouble is, drug addicts are not in their right mind, right? So a drug addict hears the same thing, except he doesn't hear there's something, you have a disease that's going to kill you. They hear you party too much. You're spending too much money and too much time doing these drugs, and you need to back off and pump the brakes. It is really, honest to God in heaven, people, the same mechanism inside the brain that makes me a heroin addict, that makes you want to take down 12 Krispy Kreme donuts in a box instead of eating one of them and walking away. It is the exact same compulsion inside the brain that is making you do the exact same thing. So if you say, I have never been addicted to anything in my entire life, reconsider that. Reconsider that. Do you ever find yourself fantasizing about food during the day? Do you find yourself lying about how much you eat? Do you find yourself feeling shame after you eat things? Do you know what every single thing on planet Earth is calorically? Can you tell me how many cookies you can have out of a bag of cookies before you're going to hit that number, because you got that number in your dome, right? And then you start doing the cheating thing. Well, I can have 1,100 a day, but I had 2 cookies there. So if I get over to, you know what? That's not a way to live. That's not a way to live. That would be the equivalent of me concentrating all day long on not doing heroin. And I don't live that way, people. I don't. I restructured my life in such a way that I am happy and busy. I get into trouble because I forget to drink, right? For real. I get so busy and so wrapped up and so excited about the things that I do that dehydration becomes a thing in my life. I didn't think there would ever be a time where I was that excited about the things that I'm doing that I would forget things like this. Calhoun, I do that too. Some of that is probably because you're my kid. Some of that probably is because you're my kid. But there was a time in my life where I couldn't forget to eat. Do you understand, people? There was a time in my life where I fantasized about eating when I wasn't eating. And being in prison is horrible for that because you have no control whatsoever of the amount you eat. Right? You're very limited in what you can eat yourself. And I remember getting out and going, holy crap, I can grab whatever I want. I can grab whatever I want. I can eat whatever I want, and I can eat it whenever I want. I can go down at 2:30 in the morning and I can microwave myself a pizza, or I could do any of these things. And that feeling is epic, right? That feeling will make you get fat very, very quickly. And I did. So did everybody else at the halfway house, right? Everybody else. I did a show on sugar addiction. Go back through and look at all of the stuff I did. It's an old one. It's about a year and a half old or something like that. But I weighed out the amount of sugar that is put in a bag of, in a bottle of Coca-Cola. I weighed it out in granulated sugar and show it to you. It would stagger your mind. It's that much sugar at the bottom of a bottle. The amount of sugar that is in a Coca-Cola. If you're drinking sugary beverages, cut them out of your life. And I don't mean switch to diet drinks. Do you know that doesn't help? Isn't that astounding? Our body is so used to the sweetness that regardless of what is happening inside the body, the sweetness is going to cause the same type of effects, right? This has been studied. And artificial sweeteners are so much sweeter than sugar that very often you're short-circuiting yourself by going to, a zero beverage or whatever they're, giving you. What they replace the sugar with is worse for you. I mean, this really is the truth. This really is the truth. So what we need to do is harm reduction. If you're not ready to be 145 pounds, right? If you're not ready to be 110 pounds, if you're not ready to be 175 pounds, whatever your target weight is, how about if we just try to be a little bit healthier? Lenny says, they scared the hell out of me too. They scared the hell out of me too. Yeah, if you ever lose a tooth, this is a good one, Carousel Delirium. If you ever lose a tooth, or a kid of yours loses a tooth, do a test on how long it takes to dissolve in Coca-Cola. Let me tell you something else. I have told people about this on the boat before, but I worked at a golf course. When Spanky was just a baby, I worked at a golf course. And I used to clean golf clubs, right? I worked as a cart boy. And I used to clean golf clubs for the old men that played there. They would drop their clubs off. I would make them look like the day they got them. And they very popular at the time was something called beryllium copper. Now they can't make it anymore because apparently it pollutes the environment making it. But at the time, this was a big thing, and they look great when you first get them, and they look horrible after a couple of months. And these guys wanted me to, and it takes so long to clean that it's not worth the money. I was getting $20 to clean a bag. And one day, a friend of mine said to me, "Go buy two 2-liter Coca-Cola bottles and bring them back here." And he took like the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, bundled them all together and dropped it in. And then he took 6 through all the wedges, and we put them on, just cut the top off and dropped them right into Coca-Cola. He said, give them 20 minutes and pull them out, hose them off. And that's just what I did. 20 minutes is all it took. Pull that thing out, hose it off, and they looked brand new. That poison would strip anything off of beryllium copper, right? It is a very, very caustic beverage. It really is. And I want to tell you something. I used that beverage to pass drug tests. How about that? Let me tell you how I did that. When you do methamphetamine, and that's what I was using because I knew it was one of the only drugs I could get away with and still pass a drug test. Terrifying. It doesn't work. It's not reliable, but at this time of my life, I rolled the dice all the time. But what I would do is it is a base level drug in theory, which means that it is not a positive, nor is it a negative kind of a pH. It is not acidic. It is not alkaline. It is base. So if you could raise the alkaline level in your body, right? If you could raise the alkaline level in your body, you could get rid of the stuff in your body much quicker. You follow me? Like it would process through. Instead of having a half-life of 72 hours, you would cut that almost in half. And it would require me to drink ungodly amounts of Coca-Cola. There was some other stuff that you did, cheese. There were some other things that you did. Some of them almost seemed counterintuitive, right? But you follow this whole list, and I could start doing drugs on Friday when I took my last drug test. And if I got high for, say, 6 hours, right, I went and smoked as much as I could and then instantly started on the Coca-Cola and on everything else, I could pass the drug test on Monday. It would allow you to get high once. And I was such a degenerate that this was a big deal to me. Like that, I was so looking forward to that. One thing I could get a buzz on. Couldn't mix anything else with it because it wouldn't. Yeah, great trick to clean car batteries. That's the truth. It will take all of that corrosion off the top of a car battery. And we swill this stuff We put it into our body. Zen Wen, one of my favorite people, says, thanks for this one, Tommy. My weight gain definitely changed my life for the worse. Much love. Oh, can't chat on my way to the doc. Be safe and be your own advocate, hon. Please be your own advocate. I have been without smoking for almost a month. Holy hell. I'm struggling more with sugar and soda. Great topic. Thank you for all you do. Thank you. And you know what? Thank you for 30 days. Do you know what, people? If you stop smoking cigarettes and you put on 10 pounds, harm reduction. Good trade. Good trade. I'm sorry. If you stop smoking and you put on 20 pounds, it is still a good trade. You're not breathing, burning crap deep into your lungs, right? You're not. So let's not, right? Let's just think harm reduction. Your line, it's a good line, Carousel. It is a great line. Be your own advocate. I promise you, no one else is going to be, right? I have watched people whose inability to be their own advocate has cost them their lives. There's no other way to put it. Recently, I've watched people whose inability to advocate for themselves cost them their life. Hummingbird, I'm so glad you're home and healthy, and you look great and green. I was worried about you, and I'm really glad that you're home and that you're healthy. Matt, it is worse. Make absolutely no mistake. It is worse. If you take phenyltronics, right? I never get that right. Read it on the back of your bottle. Phenyltronics, something like that. If you take that stuff and you heat it to room temperature, right? You take it to 95, body temperature. You take it to about 90 degrees. Study this, right? It will take on properties of formaldehyde. Putting this stuff in your body is absolutely poison. You are so much better off with sugar. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. There is so much science to back it up. This stuff causes kidney disease. It causes all kinds of problems. If on the back of your beverage, and where it lists the ingredients, there are words in the ingredients that are 5 times larger than every other word. Ask yourself why. And the reason is there's a law that forces them to tell you that that this contains phenyltronics, and it's going to be about that big. The reason? Because it's a poison. Because you have every right to know if there's a poison in your beverage. It's a poison. I'm not bumming anybody out, but it's a poison. I'm not trying to be a buzzkill. It's a poison. And you know what, people? I drink more energy drinks than anybody. My kid can tell you, right? I've been doing this for a long time. You know, Red Bull we had a Red Bull refrigerator in our house when Spanky was a boy. In my office, I had a Red Bull refrigerator that was stocked like 24/7 with as much Red Bull as you could drink, right? We knew the reps. We knew it was a bad situation. But a doctor said to me, you know what? It's got to stop now, Tommy. You can't drink any more of those, like as of today. And I have not had one since. It's all fun and games until it starts to threaten your health, people. Again, I don't care what size you are. I don't. And I think beautiful can happen at any size. Beautiful is a choice. Believe that. And it's amazing when someone chooses to be beautiful, what their appearance, how it changes to everybody around them. That's just a fact. Why does Red Bull smell so weird? Atypical Paul, I hate to continue to say this, but you know what it smells like to me? Heaven. Opposite problem here. Yeah. I don't know why Red Bull smells weird. I love Red Bull, Paul. Sadly, I love the taste of Red Bull. I remember when it first came out. I remember when nobody drank it, and extreme athletes would have 30 cases in the car. You went up skiing, you brought 20 or 30 cases with you, and your instructions were to give them away. They gave you free clothing to wear, a check for the year, and as much of that crap as they could put in your car as they possibly could. And we were intended to give it away to everybody we could, and we did. Energy drinks will cause kidney stones. You're better off to megadose vitamin Bs. You know what? I don't know anything about the megadosing vitamin Ds because I'm not, but I trust Miss Dragon. I know that you're really, really not doing yourself any good with those. And then people go in and go, well, I'm going to get an energy drink, but I don't want to be unhealthy. So I'm going to get a diet energy drink. Are you woofing me? I mean, you're going in to buy cocaine in a can and you're stressed out about the amount of calories that are going to be in there. We're very odd people, aren't we? You know what? I'm telling you the truth, whether you believe this or not. If I look at somebody and I see somebody who struggles getting around or moving, I think that person's weight is an issue for this person, right? I feel for them. But I think the exact same thing when I look in the opposite direction. If I see somebody that just looks like, I talked about how I dated a girl that ended up in Playboy, and this girl used to eat tissue, and she would smoke 2 packs of cigarettes a day because it kept her from being hungry. And knowing full well what it's going to do to you later in life, this was a way to control appetite, and it was disgusting. It was depressing. It wasn't fun to be around. And I felt so bad for her because that's the world that this person lived in. Monsters, I won't lie. Every once in a while, I would get a hankering to taste something other than Red Bull, and I would grab some Monsters or some Rock Stars. But Red Bull was really my drug of choice with energy drinks. This holiday season, most of us go through. Hello, VT Kitten. Most of us go through the holidays. Let's say we do it at about an 8, right? Or a 7. And what I mean by that is if you're eating everything in sight, like Thanksgiving Day during that 3-hour window where it's just, a lot of us, right? That would be a 10. Yeah, helped you pass mom's drug test when I was younger. How heavy is that, people? How freaking heavy is that? These are the things that, when I talk about owning the past, this is why you own your past, right? This is why you own your past. This is why you work through all of the things that you did, because something like this could kill you if it didn't. You understand that? I'm not even playing. Can you imagine if this is the first time Calhoun and I had ever had a conversation about this? For real, right now, right here, with the world watching, do you know what it would do to me? Fortunately, I've owned the past, right? I have owned the past. Again, even after I explained today, my last video, you know what, people? I don't get proud of a lot of videos that I do. I don't. I'm proud of this morning's. I'm proud of this morning's video I was on. I was having a very good morning, right? I think that that's a video that people ought to probably check out. But the concept behind it is not on my watch. And after I did that video, I had another person, believe it or not, still send me an email about just why I have any interest in this whole Scientology thing. I just don't understand how people don't get this. Let me try to explain this to you again. The most dangerous thing in the world, right? You would think is somebody that has really horrendous need of treatment for mental health, right? Who doesn't get treatment. But do you know what's 10 times scarier? Someone that gets the wrong treatment. Somebody that gets Jody Hildebrand, where you are at your most vulnerable time, right? This is when somebody is going to help you restructure your life. And instead, they decide to see if they can make it worse. Because that's what Scientology and their crazy auditing concept does. It's kind of like counseling in that it gets you to bring up some of your deepest and darkest stuff. And while that's happening, the person across from you is telling you you're lying. The machine tells you so, right? No, it just doesn't make sense. Well, maybe it's a past memory from a past life. Maybe it's a past life memory, and they get very good at creating those memories. I want you to close your eyes. Tell me what you're seeing. I kind of see it's like a field. Do you see any buildings at this field? I do. Do you see any electric power lines going to that building? Anything like that? No. Maybe this is in the past. Or maybe it's just a damn building that doesn't have any power lines going to it. Maybe it has buried power because I grew up in a really disgustingly, blue blood kind of town in the Northeast that buried phone lines when they first put them in. But you understand, if anything's a little off, they'll just go, last life, past lives. And when someone's sitting there looking at a device that you believe is telling you this, think of the damage you could do to a human being. And let's say you do it when they're 8 or 9 or 10. I have a very close friend who's a second-generation Scientologist, a lady, who said as a girl, she was waiting, excited for her hands to be big enough to wrap around the cans so she could start the process of systematically eliminating anything even remotely like an emotion, right? Instead of connecting, taking the emotions and the things that we say don't put inside, right? Never do that. They teach you to do it. Everything we say here, this friggin' cult does the opposite of. Everything we preach, The opposite of addiction is connection. The opposite of everything good is connection, right? What do they teach? Disconnect from anybody that's not a Scientologist. A 5x5 is on a scale of 1 to 5. How good is the audio? On a scale of 1 to 5, how good is the video? A 5x5 tells me that both are good. Thank you. I know it gets that one I probably should explain more often. Food is my drug of choice. It got me through a rough childhood. I quit drinking and smoking, so now it's my battle, and the holidays are the hardest. I know they are, right? That's why we're doing this. I know they are. But what we're going to do is we're just going to do some harm reduction. Not going to ask anybody to try to change their lifestyle in the middle of Christmas, right? Tommy, I've got an idea. Let's go to the Cannabis Cup in Amsterdam, right? And let's bring some psychedelics and some cocaine, right? We'll do all that, and we'll have a big discussion of drugs with everybody sitting around, and that will be the week you quit doing drugs. Dumb as hell, right? You wouldn't go to a drug convention and say, I think I'll decide this week will be the week I stop doing drugs. But it's just as stupid to go, I'm going to go to this convention, see how much dope I can do, and I'll quit next week. And the holidays can be that, right? Because it's just for someone who struggles with eating, the holidays is like the same scenario I just pointed out. Every house you go to's got baked goods out. People are mailing them to you in the mail, and they're trying to outdo your neighbor who sent you Pepperidge Farm, right? They're going to take it up one notch. And you might get 20 of those packages in the mail. And if you got a YouTube channel, you might get 30 of those packages mail. And you're going to end up with a lot of stuff lying around so that you can be consuming stuff around the clock. And you know what? It's not your run of the mill. No, this is good stuff. This is the solid, right? This is a very hard time of year, but just a little harm reduction, people. Just a little harm reduction. We don't have to reinvent the globe before the first of the year. Are you with me? We do not have to recreate anything before the first of the year. But if your weight is causing problems in your life and you're continuing to eat, that means that you are doing a habit in the face of negative consequences that you face daily, and you continue to do it. You know what we call that? We call that addiction. That's the definition that I use for addiction, right? So you absolutely can be addicted to food the same way you could be addicted to blow. If you don't get that, I apologize, right? But with all due respect, you don't get it because you're coming from a point of not having researched it. Because if you research this, science will tell you that what's going on in your brain when you're jonesing for the next line is the same thing going on in your brain when you want the next Dorito, right? I promise. This is something that you will absolutely have a really good shot of beating if, by some chance, you actually take the steps to treat this like an addiction, right? Come to realize that the problem isn't the cheeseburger. The problem isn't the potato chips or any other thing that you're doing. The problem is something inside, and the food is a symptom of that problem. The question to ask, because that is also my drug of choice, is why am I eating this? To fuel my body art, to fill hole? You know what? This, again, is a very, food addiction is hard because you need food every single day. You absolutely do. But just like I am not anti-drug, I certainly am not anti-food, right? At all. What I am is I don't want anyone to be a slave to anything. So if over the course of now until the 31st of December, you come to the realization that this is your struggle, we're going to be doing some stuff in the first of the year that is specifically designed for people who would like to drop some weight. It starts out a very, very simple concept, right? I'm not going to be doing anything that is beating anybody up, but I can promise you, that's another great point, Paul. Another great point. I dislike how all events revolve around food. And If your drug of choice is alcohol, you would say, I really dislike how all events revolve around alcohol. You would be right in both cases, wouldn't you? As addicts, we tend to pick out, the things that are our weakness. I'm blessed in that my drug of choice, like I really got to go to a strange part of town to have my drug of choice whipped out at the average dinner party, right? I got to go to a real odd part of town. But I feel for people that struggle with food addiction. I really have got it under control, but I've changed my life so dramatically that I'm not on a diet ever. I don't live like that. Alan Ballantyne, very close friend of mine, did the same thing. Alan lost a human being. He was over 300 pounds. He's down to like 179 or 189 or something like that. He's lost a ton of weight. And did it healthy? Did it smart? Did it systematically? And you ask him about diet, he goes, I don't diet. I don't do any of that crap. I changed how I eat completely. But more importantly, he journals his butt off, right? When journaling doesn't work and he feels odd, he calls me on the phone. I'm in his 5. Tell me something's up. I don't know what it is. And we just start talking until we figure out what it is, right? Plain and simple. Because the overeating is a symptom of something that you have not dealt with. I'm sorry, it's the truth. Heroin was a symptom of something I hadn't dealt with. Now that I've dealt with it, I'm Tommy freaking Scoville, man. Like I'm here helping people get sober, but I had to get that out of my life. By the way, before the end of this video, and soon to be put up in the Dropbox on every video, is the address for the lifeboat. We do have an address, people. So for those of you who have said to me, please get me a post office box number so that I can mail you something, I am going to be putting up an address you will be able to mail to us on. There is such a lack of empathy for food addiction or food restriction. You're damn right there is, Amanda. You're absolutely right there is. Maybe the worst of all of them. Maybe the worst of all of them. And let's be really honest. People are cruel. It's the lowest fruit, right? It is the lowest hanging fruit in being cruel, is to just pick on somebody for their physical characteristics. We learn it in the 3rd grade, and good God, there are people in their 50s who still do it. I do not. I don't judge people by what they look like. I stopped doing that a long time ago, and I know no one's going to believe that, and I'll catch a hell of a lot of crap the next time I'm on Reese's show. But I do judge people on who they are. I've said it many times. I've met some very, very attractive people who are butt ugly, right? I dated a girl that was in Playboy, and she was a really far cry from beautiful. I mean, a far cry from beautiful. Although Spanky was quite fond of her. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you so much, Slot. I really appreciate you. Hope that you're staying warm. The world reminds me of Vegas and Stephen King's The Stand. Everything is okay, but if you become an addict, you are deemed and worse. You're damned and worse. Yeah, absolutely. There's something to this, right? We have no respect for people that can't control, right? We have no respect for people that can't control their kids. We got no respect for people that can't control their diet. We have no respect for people that can't control their drinking. We have no respect for people that can't control their drugs. We have no respect for people that can't control their mental health. Am I getting warm? Have I left anybody out? We have no respect for people that don't believe what we believe. We don't have any respect for people that don't vote the same way we vote. And we don't have any respect for people that don't pray the same way we pray. The reason that everybody seems to get along really well here is because nobody here buys into any of that. It seems to be an out there kind of thing. Now, that doesn't suggest that we should all stay in here. I believe the exact opposite. What I want to see happen is connection outside of the group. Right? I want to see the tribe take this crap to the street. I'm new to this channel, but the title really drew me in. Well, thank you, Kimberly. I'm glad that you're here. Very much like I talk about with drugs. I'm not popular as a guy that helps people get sober because I say things like harm reduction. When guys come in and say, I was drinking a 5th a day, and now I'm drinking 4 beers a day. Thank you, Tommy. You know what? He's a hell of a lot better off than he was. Other places say, well, you need to stop those other 4. I would like to see that happen, but I don't tell anybody to do anything. I don't. I suggest some things, and I see things that worked for a lot of other people because of a couple of years, 3 years sitting in this chair, right? And then watching a bunch of people in prison, right? In prison, it was a petri dish. It was lovely. 13 years of being able to work with people and study them. You know, my friend Austin can come on here. He's talked about it. I would probably have him on. I did time with him. We were in prison together, and he's out. He's free and doing beautifully in life, successful, got out and made it. But Austin was 350, 360. And I think he's 180 now because he just said, this is it. I'm done. And it was funny. I've told the story many times. He said it because he goes, I'm too close to the gate now. I don't want to leave here this size. And I said, well, good luck with that. Because this guy would make what we, in prison, it's called a spread, right? It's 5 ramen noodles, right? An entire bag of instant refried beans, an entire bag of rice, chips, jalapenos. Like it would take him 2 hours, but he would eat the entire thing. And this was after a dinner that they fed us. My new addiction is the lifeboat. Well, I'm going to suggest that if you're going to start backing off and trying to cut down on that addiction, that you do so in 2025, because 2024 is the year of the boat. 2024 is going to be the year of the boat, and I want everybody to live their best life in 2024. And if your best life has you at 5'2" and 180, and you're healthy as hell that way, and you can do whatever you want and run and have fun and nothing's bothering you, then you know what? Rock on, right? I love it. Be confident, be beautiful, and be who you are. But if your weight is making you uncomfortable, then stick around because we're going to do everything we can to help you get better with that, right? No pressure, I promise. Human, I'm glad that I'm stoked that you made it live, man. How cool is that? Very happy that you're here. Spanky, you should highlight your own comment because you're right. That one for Ann. I really dig that. Ann says, I don't remember when I first came here. Me either. Me either. But I can't see myself leaving, right? I can't see myself ever stopping this. Hey, Johnny, can you bring me that address? Probably would have been a great idea if I had brought the address in here with me. But we went out today and took care of that so that we have the ability for us to start doing a little more communicating. You're right, and that's horrible, isn't it? It really is. It's horrible. I'm sorry you're bothered by it too. With this, we can't give up completely, right? You give up food completely, bad things really happen, right? What we have to learn to do is keep virtually everything in check. You know, you have to keep virtually everything in check, and this is going to be the year where everything that we do in check, right? We're going to pump the brakes so that we are in control of our lives in whatever shape that looks. It's not going to look for you like it looks for me. I promise you, right? From the street, people watching my life would tell you I'm out of control. I promise you. If you watch me from a distance, you'd go, this dude needs to slow down. And I will, I promise. But I'm not blind to what I'm doing, right? I have very long talks with my kids, my family, and a lot of people that I care about, right? I need to balance, and 2024 is going to be a balance year for the boat and for me. We're going to need a bigger boat. There's no question. One of the reasons that I was willing to push myself in 2023, and especially in the month of December, is I don't want to put a tie on in the month of December. And I know that connection gets people through this month. I watched it in real time in prison. And I did not spend a Christmas in prison that someone did not take their lives in the unit that I lived in. Not just in the prison, but in the unit that I lived in. Right. So over the course of the time that I was in prison, it's something that happens every Christmas. And I don't want it to happen on the boat. Last year was a really rough December on the boat. And it isn't going to be one here. Look at the noise opera. Are you kidding me, man? Nick is such a beast. There is the address to the lifeboat. You can send it to Tommy Scoville, or you can send it to the lifeboat. It doesn't much matter. But that is us. 4764 East Sunrise Drive, Suite 173, Tucson, Arizona, 85718. Mary Jones says the lifeboat is part of my life at this point on a daily basis. Boy, me too. And I'll tell you what, I think people, I really do. By the way, before anybody gets the wrong idea, you do realize I didn't come up with the concept of the opposite of addiction being connection, right? Somebody way smarter than me came up with that. I honestly don't think they articulated as well as I do, keeping it real. But they came up with the idea, and it is a beautiful concept because it is just so right on the money. Tommy, you are always promoting journaling. My problem with that is that I have had family members have truly believed that I had no expectations of privacy. How do I get past that? Okay, is that I have had. Do you have that now? You can go to Home Depot, and for about $75, you can buy a box that if somebody wants to read your journal, they're going to have to blow this thing apart. Now, you could do that, a hammer in about 30 minutes, they could get in there. They're certainly not going to do it without you being aware of it. And normally locking it up in something like that is enough. Now, there's a lot of other ways you can do it. There's electronic things. I have people, I mentioned that there was somebody on the boat that just emailed me because they didn't want to do journaling. Since then, about 11 of you have started to email the boat every day. Everybody writes at the top, you don't have to read this, and I don't care if you respond. Right? It doesn't much matter how you journal, providing that you can go back and read it again. Electronically, you can protect yourself better. I learned to journal with a pad and a pen. I learned to journal in prison. I have a more difficult time adjusting to the electronic. I do use this, and I got this phone for that reason because I can do it this way instead of my fat fingers, right? And I have really big hands. Like they're retarded big, so I kind of need that setup to be able to write. They're not right. They're like defective large, so I have to be able to have that when I'm on the fly. But when I'm at home, I use paper. It does not matter, providing you can go back and read it. You understand that it's not just a matter of emptying the head at night, which is important, right? And then emptying the head in the morning, which is super important. It's not just about that. It is about, on top of that, it's about working through problems. It's about self-discovery. It's about the ability to have a counselor on demand. We talk at counselors. We don't talk to them. We talk at them. It's the exact same thing I do with my journal. It really is. Except, and I know it sounds like just a punchline, but my counselor says, how does that make you feel? And my journal doesn't. So if I find myself stuck, I start writing about how I feel. I'm not even being funny. And I'll tell you something else. We're almost through with the Lifeboat Journal. We're going to be releasing a journal that you can buy. And the purpose of this journal is going to be to very innocuously get you into the process of journaling. There will be prompts that I wrote that will encourage you to just answer the questions that I put down. And by the end of 365 days, you probably won't need another year of my help. If you do, there'll be another book because too many people ask. I'm putting this together. We're almost halfway done. Spanx Calhoun is also helping me in a big way on this. April Conlon, thank you for this topic. You know what? It's such an important topic. It really is. And once again, I get a lot of people that say they don't like the harm reduction thing. I catch a lot of crap about harm reduction. People do not they want all or nothing. They don't want an addict that ever quit. You understand? I mean, that they either quit or they don't. They don't think that you can be working towards something. You can't be getting better. You're either better or you're sick. Well, that's a crap concept. I'm a big, big proponent of harm reduction. So between now and the end of the year, if normally you're running at a 7, run at a 6 or a 5. You don't have to feel odd this first year by saying, I'm not eating and having people look at you like, oh, is it a weight thing? No, just don't eat as much as you normally would have, right? Don't eat as much as you normally would have, or eat exactly what you would have and drink water. That's harm reduction. You realize that? That's it. That's harm reduction. Change what you're doing to drinking water. That's harm reduction massively. You would not believe how much weight you can lose. Do you know how I lost all of the weight the first time I tried to quit? I'm not even joking. I just stopped eating bread and rice. I cut bread and rice out of my diet completely. I don't care if it was Burger Wednesday. I ate the patty with 2 pieces of lettuce. I didn't eat bread, and I didn't eat it for years. I just cut bread and I cut rice out of my diet. Those 2 things. White rice. I ate brown rice, but I just cut those out of my diet. and weight fell off me. It fell off me. And then I also started to do mini fasting. And that was how I got rid of everything. Oh, if you get off sugar, Debbie P is, so spot on. I've never done this for a purpose of a diet. I'll tell you that right now. I've never done it. But I have done a fast with zero sugar in it for the purpose of trying to get healthier. And it will ridiculously change how you feel. You know what? I didn't know this. Love it. I did not know this. But I can tell you this. I am wildly addicted to bubbly water. I am wildly addicted to bubbly water. So this would not surprise me if you're spot on with this, and I don't know any other addicts that don't dig it. Recovered addicts. Honestly, I know so many people that drink this. Maybe that's the reason, but bubbly water is just amazing. And I would be sitting there right now watching cartoons. I promise you. I am. My son can tell you there is not a bigger cartoon addict on planet Earth than I am. I really, really have a thing for cartoons. Quitting sugar changed my life. I started in 2017. That is amazing, right? That is amazing. And it's possible, people. It is absolutely possible. Do you hear me? I'm not playing games. This is possible. By the way, there are going to be some new designs that will be up on the merch store in time for Christmas. There's some really cool stuff that's coming up. Looney Tunes, yeah, Scooby-Doo. I would sit down on the floor. Calhoun got the right dad for Saturday mornings. I promise you that. I was the cartoon dad. If somebody came in and said, "Oh, we're not watching cartoons," I'd be like, "Shut up, we are." I promise you, do not start that in my house. Go somewhere else. My son and I are watching cartoons. And now I live there. I'm telling you, I swear to you, people, I live where Wile E. Coyote used to hang out, right? The cliffs, the cactuses. I live in Wile E. Coyoteville, and he goes cruising through the backyard. I see him at least 4 days a week. Good sized guy. Dun, 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 sort of doing this one around. And I also see spine-tail swifts. Yeah. Roadrunners. They're all over my property. You would not believe it. So I've been strategically stashing Acme products all over the property in hopes that Wile E. Coyote is going to grab the rocket skates, or the earthquake tablets, and put out some bird feed and some earthquake tablets. As yet, nothing, but I have not given up. Stop it. I'm telling you, Miss Dragon and I have I promise you, we could probably quote the same movies for 4 days. Miss Dragon definitely grew up exactly how I grew up. It's really, really funny. It really is. YouTube has a 7-hour Christmas cartoon video with the original commercials from the 70s and 80s. I watched it, and I will be watching it. I promise you. The Jetsons and the Flintstones are in the same place and time. The Jetsons and the Flintstones are great. I was a big, huge Jetsons fan. In fact, I'm struggling to come up with a cartoon I didn't like. I got nothing. I mean, maybe some of the modern ones because I haven't watched them. But if they were made before, say, the 80s, I was probably into them. I dig it. I will call him George. I will love him and I will squeeze him and I will stroke his fur backwards. Yeah, that's a good one. Ladies, I cut out soda and sugar-filled drinks, lost 25 pounds in 4 months. God bless you, Kate Taylor. God bless you. And you know what? How hard was it? Honestly, you shove your chips into the middle of the table. Don't do anything half fundament, right? Don't do it half backside. For real. Because you don't have to stop eating, right? No one wants you to stop eating. Harm reduction, right? Kay Taylor said, ladies, I cut out soda and sugar-filled drinks, right? I cut out bread and I cut out rice. And then I'll tell you what, when I got to, absolutely, when I got to, sorry, my mind just did the, it might come back. Does anyone remember Bugs Bunny with Babyface Finster? It was my favorite, and I can't find it. I have seen Babyface Finster, but I think I might have it on a disc. If I find it, I will get it for you, honey. I think it's on a disc. If not, it might be on a tape. I used to tape just hours and hours and hours of cartoons. And I got what may have been the first digital video recorder that anyone ever built. It was made by TiVo. And that TiVo cartoon was, what do you call it? There it is, baby Finster. Huh? Ask and ye shall receive. Spanx Calhoun. Well played. There he is. Yeah, that's a classic. Holy mackerel, is that a classic? But I got the TiVo and it had like 16 hours of record time, right? And Spanky figured out before any of us did, right, as a kid, that if you hit the thumbs up, it would seek out the stuff that you liked. And I went to work. I went on the road as a speaker. I came back, and that thing had every single minute of record time was chewed up with all of the stuff that my son was a fan of. And the machine was basically toast from that point forward. All it did was chase down cartoons and silly things for my son. We couldn't seem to undo the damage that he had done, but that's all right. Yes. Yeah. Finster was fantastic. That was good stuff. I am really, really a fan of all of those cartoons. If I could get one of my amazing blue wrenches to put up our new address once again, I know that a bunch, yeah, Iron Giant, good Lord. Oh, good Lord, did he watch that? Or the other one that got a lot of airtime was the Fox and the Hound. I think that it's safe to say that Spanx Calhoun watched the Fox and the Hound about 700,000 times. And I sat through at least the first 600 of those. There you go, people. One last time, right? And like I said, I'm going to begin putting this into wherever it shows all of the other stuff. But 4764 East Sunrise Drive, number 173, Tucson, Arizona, 85718. That is how you will send anything that you would like to send. Right? Send your spicy League of Fire challenges soon. That's not where I was going with that, Hunter, but thank you. and get it there before Christmas. You want me to burn as a Christmas gift, Hunter? Is that what you so that's what Hunter Haas wants for Christmas. We all know what we can get him. I was hoping to maybe I don't know, maybe something that doesn't burn me. All right, everybody. I'm going to be back today. We're going to be continuing the December marathon through New Year's Eve. To those of you who have emailed, and there's been a bunch, yes, well, I'm going to do content on Christmas Day. Yes, I'm going to do content on Christmas Eve. And yes, I'm going to do content on New Year's Eve. In fact, the New Year's Eve thing is a tradition. We do a New Year's Eve here where we count down and we don't get wasted. And I would expect that to have a good crew here that night, right? And you're not going to get any drunk drivers smacking into you on New Year's Eve if you are right here, right? Squirrel currently, they just took a new puzzle out. I've got family over visiting, and they're starting to try to assemble a puzzle. And Squirrel likes to position herself so that if anybody goes away from the puzzle for even a second, she can steal several pieces and disappear. Kind of a big thing for the cat, actually. She is, sadly, one of the most naughty female cats of her age on at least the lower 48. There's nobody that is quite as mischievous as Squirrel. Sadly, that really is the truth. And she understands the game like very few animals. Like, she knows exactly what to do to get me to do what she wants me to do, and it drives me nuts. Last night at like 3 a.m., she decided that she wanted a TREAT and came in and literally just did this number, like put a paw on my face, kind of shoved at me like, hey, you sleeping? You asleep? Could you wake up and perhaps go get me a treat? I realize it's the middle of the night, but I find myself craving the particular treat you recently bought. And you sit and argue with the cat. I know you've all done it. No, we're not doing this now. It's the middle of the night. I'm not doing this now. And she just does the meow, 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 threatening to wake up everybody in the neighborhood. And then I get up and give her the TREAT because I'm weak. And the cat is far better at training me than I am at training her. Oh, she knows when I'm awake. And if I'm not awake, she just wakes me. She has no problem with that. Or the other thing is that she'll decide she wants to play fetch at 4 a.m. You know what I mean? Like, I want to do it at noon when 7 people are watching, but she's like the frog from the early morning cartoons. If somebody is there and I throw it, she looks at me and goes, ribbit. But if it's 3:00 in the morning and there's no one there, like she's frisbee cat. She can catch the thing like, kicking her feet out and catching it in the air. But the second, amazingly, I do have her on film. I have, I have to spell it out, Jilly. Sadly, I have to spell it out because that cat knows the word. If you have never seen me do it, if she's in the basket and it's at the end of the video, sometimes I'll go, hey, you want to, and I'll say the word and she just goes, gone. Hello, my baby. Hello, my darling. Hello, my ragtime gal. Is that the one? Send me a kiss by wire. Baby, my heart's on fire. If you refuse me, then you will lose me, and I'll be all alone. So, baby, telephone and tell me I'm your own. Calhoun, can we pull up an image of Michigan J. Frog before we leave? I believe his name is Michigan J. Frog, and it is just one of those. See, this is why Saturday morning was just so incredible. I had so much fun hanging out and exposing Spanky to all of this stuff. You know what I mean? There's Michigan J. Frog. He would dance and sing, and the guy would you would see in his pupils there would be cash, the dollar signs. He's like, oh, I'm gonna make $1 million on this frog. And then he would go out on stage with the top hat and the cane and go, ribbit. Yeah, great stuff. Great stuff. Alrighty, people. There will be more Lifeboat today. There will be more Lifeboat tomorrow. We're going to keep doing this. We're going to ride out December. If you see somebody in another chat and you haven't seen them, make sure they're doing all right. Right? Check on people. People avoid connection when they're hurting, right? So people that you may see around here who aren't here might just be avoiding this because it's hard to be around, right? When you feel like you're not getting it and everyone else is. We need to really look out for everybody, people. We're on the downhill run, right? I mean, today's the 19th. We don't have long to go to get through Christmas, right? And then we just got to get through New Year's. And it's amazing what happens. It's amazing what happens on January the 2nd. I've been sitting in this seat now. This will be the third one I've done, right? And January 2nd's different. The attitude changes. Everybody gets happy. And our New Year's resolutions start to take shape. We're not doing anything radical. No one here is. We're gonna ease into it so that if it doesn't end up a winner, then what it ends up is some amazing harm reduction. Oh, Marvin the Martian. You gotta love Marvin the Martian. Yeah, another great one. Do you know how many people have Marvin tattooed on them? That is one of the most popular flash art tattoos in the entire world. Marvin the Martian gets tattooed on a lot of people. He is an icon, to be sure. Henny says, you love my singing. You lie, Henny, but that's okay. I love you. I appreciate you. You're a liar, but I appreciate you. When I searched it, Marvin merchandise came up before anything else. Go figure, Calhoun. All right. Well, on the other side of the glass, right, is my boy, Spanky. God bless you. I love you. And I'll be talking to you later, I promise you. All right, everybody. We will see you on the next boat. All right. Take care of yourself and look out for each other, please. See you soon.